boy, look at the time. Considering the scale of my previous recasting videos, where we had an attempt to recast an Adeptus Mechanicus Dunecrawler and a Tau broadside, I really feel like scaling things down a notch. Take it down a peg, hold my horses, and other unnecessary metaphors. Which, if it were a horse, it would be dead. And I would be beating it. This time around, I'd like to do something much smaller, something easy, something that doesn't require several dozens of intricate small parts. The broadside we made in the last video was a one heck of a recast, and recasting the Dunecrawler was a pretty nuts choice for my first video. Both of the damn things were split into 3 large molds, packed with dozens of intricate pieces. In the end, it had turned out relatively well, depending on how low you set your bar. Lucky for you, in today's recast, no matter how low you set that bar, and no matter how hard you try to deliberately sabotage your cast, you still won't even come close to matching the absolute anal crust, rock bottom, dick cheese manufacturing quality of the official miniatures which Games Workshop have themselves birthed upon this land. This is a set of Tau Empire sniper drones, and it comes in a splendid manufacturing format that you and I have come to know and love as fine... come to know and love as fine... fine Satan's anus. We have come to know it as Satan's anus. You've seen a beheading on the Ancient when you were 12. This is nothing. You can do this. The Satan's Anus brand of miniatures was meant to be a revolutionary new manufacturing process which was supposed to help cut down on the production costs, the savings of which would have been passed on to you, loyal... I'm sorry, I really can't go through with this. The Satan's Anus brand of miniatures is a very frail, easily deformed, cheaply felt, poorly executed production of some of the smaller miniature sets. It quarters the quality for a quarter of the price of production cost. You will still be paying as much as a premium grade quality miniature for this pile of garbage. I mean, look at this shit! 55 Canadian rubles for 3 flaccid drones and a squatting tofu man. You can get a full-on proper quality plastic piranha for way less. Hell, you know what? For extra 15, you can spring up for a full-on broadside. You see, it's shit like this is why I started recasting. It's also the reason why I can confidently say that no matter how badly you try to tits this one up, you will still end up with a sturdier, better feeling, superior quality model than the original fine... Alright, let's get this started. I was going over the channel comments today and was pleasantly surprised to see that a lot of you were pretty chill with the whole hobby. Nevertheless, I did get a couple of comments informing me how I am single-handedly destroying the Games Workshop bottom line by sitting in a dark, damp basement and making shitty knockoffs full of bubbles, defects, and flakes. Watch out, Games Workshop, new players in town. I can make shitty models too. You know, looking at these parts actually makes me think if it's maybe even worth just making a custom sprue for this. Might want to experiment with that. I have a particular idea that I want to see if I could pull off. Previously, if we were recasting some sort of a model that was split across multiple sprues, we would make an individual mold box for each individual sprue. Now, that process is perfectly fine. However, I wonder if I can maybe streamline it a little bit, maybe speed it up a bit. Instead of creating multiple molds for the multiple sprues, we will try to join the multiple sprues together to create one big one. It may work, it may fail completely. I feel that the small form factor of the sniper drones might actually be a, well, small enough sample to try out the idea. If it works, then hey, it works. If it doesn't, maybe we can try out that custom sprue idea. Ultimately, the idea is to basically create a cast all in one swift motion. Even if the model is big, make one mold, do one pour, get the model. Before I can do that, though, I need to fix this piece of garbage. See, we're starting to get a little bit more crude in our approach. No more Mr. Measurements. Gotta get this out of the way. All right, so what I would really like to do is maybe set up some sort of a box that's about this long and can fit 2 rows of these sprues. However, I do not have a mold box component, a mold box wall, that is big enough to facilitate such a size. So maybe we're gonna do a full-on stacking experiment, and we're gonna see what happens if we recast them like this. We could create a mold box of them all in one single row. Well, not gonna lie, it ain't pretty. It's certainly crookeder than a Brit's teeth. Wait a minute. Well, that explains it. Alright, so the basic idea here is fairly straightforward. We have these blocks providing an indentation, which is going to act as a pull for liquid plastic to, well, collect and pull up, and there will be an extra reserve so that once we start squeezing it and getting all the bubbles out of the mold, the extra reserve of liquid plastic, which technically would be oriented like this, would be pouring downwards. Now, we do need to double check that all the vents, except for this piece, of course, this has vents coming out of the both sides, all the vents are pointing upwards. If the sprue is oriented like this, or if the mold is going to be oriented like this. Because we've made that mistake before, didn't we? For the most part, in pretty much all of these components, the vents are pointing upwards. I am honestly kind of afraid of even adding additional vents because I feel like I'll dislodge most parts off of the sprue before I even get any additional vents in place. So you know what? We'll take our luck and we'll try it with this instead. So the last time I did this, when I tacked on the 3D printed mold box onto the project board, it actually worked out pretty well. I had almost no leaks whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the only leak that was spotted was really spotted at the very edge because my project board wasn't big enough. So I would say, yeah, this is a pretty good way to secure the mold box to the project board without really expelling too much glue and ruining your mold box, because the 3D printed mold box walls would be basically melted by the hot glue. Alright, well, we're only part of the way there because we still need to make a little mold box for the acrylic pieces, the bases and the transparent rod. This time I'm gonna go ahead and start by putting on some gloves, although I believe I might have already touched a couple of those pieces when I was looking for the non-transparent base. As a matter of fact, come to think of it, I've also touched the actual parts, the actual sprues, which means I'm sure there's going to be a couple of my fingerprints on that sucker. There's a giant gushing crack right in the middle of that base. We're going to see if that's going to end up getting recast as well. As far as I know, at least the surface divot might get recast. Of course, not the inside bits. All right, and here we are again. We now have 2 mold boxes. One is for the bases, one is for the sprues. Now, last time when we mixed the silicone, we actually ended up with quite a bit of waste. And by we I mean I don't know about you, but silicone is gosh darn expensive. Oh god. Oh, there's some unmixed stuff at the bottom too. Oh no. That's not good. Yeah, so this little pancake could have been used to, well, maybe do the bases, right? So, you gotta be careful next time. And by next time, I mean now. Technically, Smooth-On has a calculator available on their website, specifically intended for calculating how much in grams or liters of the silicone stuff we're supposed to be using. So I'm gonna see if it is in any way, shape, or form accurate. We're gonna do just a few measurements, and we're gonna use their online calculator to figure out, well, the volume intended. Now, the laptop I'm using for this will never ever do screen share. You can forget about the idea of even running any sort of screen recording software on it. It is an ancient piece of garbage. It is only good enough for showing me the script, and that's it. But you can always go to Smooth-On website, you can find their calculator section, and simply supply the name of the product, the dimensions of the sprue, or technically dimensions of whatever it is that you're trying to make a cast of, and of course the dimensions of the mold box itself. And on the output, you're going to get the amount of product you're supposed to use. So let's see. We've got 6.5, let's say 6.5 centimeters by 10 centimeters by, we're not going to go all the way up, we're going to go maybe up to what, like 17, 18. Let's do 18. So we've got 18 by 10 by 6.5. So, oh wow, interesting. That is too much. That doesn't make sense. 18, let's clear everything. 18 times 10 times 6.5. I guess, yeah, I guess that does make sense. 1170. So this is the volume of the mold box. 1170. Now this is cubic centimeters. The model itself is supposed to be what? We're gonna have to guesstimate here a little bit. It looks like 4 by 7, and height-wise, well, it'll probably be about, Come to think of it, this actually doesn't make sense. Okay, let's try that again. 10 by 6.5 by... We're not going to go all the way up. We're going to go to about, maybe, what? 9, 8... Let's do 8.5. Right, 8.5 by 10 by 6.5. Okay, 552.5 cubic centimeters. So we go to the website, type in 552. Let's round it up to 53. Okay, now model volume. The model volume, we're gonna have to guesstimate a little bit here. Looks like maybe 4 by, I'd say 7 by 7. Let's do 4 by 7 by 7. Now, technically, there's a lot of empty space in between. So, instead of 4, let's drag it down to maybe 2. 2, yeah, sure, let's do 2. So, 2 by 7 by 7. 2 by 7 by 7. 2 by 7 by 7. 98. Okay, so of course 98 cubic centimeters. I believe this is going to be subtracted from the total volume. 98. There we go. Now we are selecting a product, which is MoldMax 29NV. I'm sure they're gathering the statistics over there as well. And 531 grams of product. 531 grams, eh? Okay, well, I'm sure my calculation isn't perfect, but let's see how that goes. We do have to keep in mind that we have 2 mold boxes, technically, that need to be filled, but the other one is pretty surface level. Again, we're not really trying to fill up this entire volume. It's just enough to cover all the models so we don't see the tips. Oh god, I just realized this this sour cream container says 500 milliliters on the side, and if you know anything about milliliters, it translates directly to milligrams. So if we need 531 grams, that container may not be enough. Although at the same time, the density of the silicone is much higher than that of a sour cream, so maybe we'll be okay. Oh, we just might be able to make it. We still need part B though. So 531. Come on. Yep. There we go. Okay. We got it. 532.4, which means we need 53.2, maybe 53.3 of the B solution. Okay, 53.6. We went a little bit over, but again, it's not going to be a huge problem. Well, it will be a huge problem for the future me when I want to recast something else and make a mold of something else and I don't have enough. I want to try to make sure I don't end up with a whole bunch of unmixed silicone at the bottom this time around, as you have seen by the the pancake I've pulled a little bit earlier. And yeah, I am definitely thinking some sort of a motorized tip, maybe one of those wood hole cutting drill bits ground down, and just, you know, put her on the drill and mix it up. Alrighty, dinner's ready. I'm gonna, again, start with this small one, considering it requires barely any silicone. So I'm gonna get the silicone into that hole. Okay, we're gonna stop right here. We're gonna come back to this later. I don't want the silicone to push the sprues apart and end up having them get dislodged. So I'm gonna try to more or less evenly apply the silicone across this particular side. We want to make sure the base doesn't go anywhere either. Even with this looks like a massive amount of silicone, to be honest. Okay, not bad. You know what? Not bad at all. This actually was quite close, the calculation. I think we could have supplied a more generous volume of the original part. As I said, I'm pretty sure the calculator subtracts the volume of the object you're making the mold out of. Okay, we're gonna leave this to the side, and then we shall donate the rest into this one. As a matter of fact, we're gonna evenly split it between the two. Just kind of doing a quick inspection on the seals. We do have a little bit of leakage in those corners. That might be a point worth looking at. Maybe putting in an extra clamp. Maybe focusing that clamp at the bottom, as a matter of fact, might be a better idea. We have a bit of a leak over here, but for the most part, yeah, seems, well, so far at least, seems pretty good. So, alright, here we go. So, all we have to do now is wait for this stuff to cure. I'm gonna come by here in maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, just to double check that nothing is leaking. And yeah, we'll see how this goes in a short little while. And we're back. So let's take a look at our silicone. I use this jug of resin as a weight to try to press down on the mold walls so they provide less of an escape route for silicone. But I would say it has actually turned out quite reasonable. There's a very minor leak over here. Same thing by the looks of it. Just a tiny one over here. Yeah, so it's mostly the corners. We could have sealed them up, but honestly, this amount is fairly negligible. We should be just fine. You can see the silicone peels off quite easily from these 3D printed mold walls. The surface finish is still just fine. This here is perhaps the most important part, this little nipple. We need to make sure that it is intact. It doesn't have any holes because, well, because that's where the transparent rod's going to be inserted. I'm going to clean up the originals later. I'm actually interested in seeing how these turned out first. Alright, those are the bases. Now, we're not going to cast these just yet. I'm interested in the main boy. Oh yeah, and another note, I totally forgot to use the mold release on the sprues, so it is absolutely a miracle that the silicone didn't actually, well, bind to this plastic in any way. I mean, technically, it usually shouldn't, but when I had recast, and you guys have seen this in another video, when I had recast the same sprue multiple times, or I made a mold of the same sprue multiple times, I actually had silicone bind to certain parts of the sprue. And I think that's because initially the sprue is covered in some sort of a residue, maybe some sort of an oil, which effectively acted as mold release. I'm sure that if I were to attempt to recast this exact sprue again, it is going to be much more susceptible to silicone binding to it. Okay, we gotta be especially careful with pulling out this piece. This little ball joint is very notorious for getting broken off. This isn't really the first time I've tried to recast the sniper drones. I think I have 2 more packets of already recast drones that I used for, well, trying to figure this whole process out. And to be fair, I'm kind of going a little bit slow trying to preserve the sprue, which, to be fair, is kind of redundant. But if I want to recast this again, not having to buy another one would be greatly appreciated, but I reckon we're probably not going to be that lucky. Whew. Alright. First one down, 3 more to go. Not bad. To be honest, now that I look at it, maybe it might have been a better idea to just make a separate mold for the base. This is not worth it. Something tells me this part ain't staying in the sprue. Yeah, by the time we extract it. So, yeah. Damn, never have I wished that I had a third hand. You know, now that I think about it, it's actually good that all these pieces are detaching from the sprue, because this might actually be a perfect subject to maybe explore making custom sprues, where you create a sprue specifically designed for all the detached pieces, you reattach them to the custom sprue, and then you make the cast out of that, instead of relying on these, injection molding sprues. That way you can pretty much position all the necessary vents you would ever need right from the get-go. Just pop the items in, 3D print the sprue, pop the parts in, and voila, good to go. All right, last one. Come on, you bitch. Let's get this over with. I can predict that this piece right here might be a problem because of the way it was... well... Maybe. Maybe not. Whew. Alright. That's the sniper drone mold, demolded. We have our mold. We can now do the test. First things first, we need to make sure we don't forget our release. We don't want our liquid plastic getting bound to the mold, so... ladies. Alrighty, and I think, clamping wise, I mean, this thing is pretty much self-sustained. This wall is nice and sealed. We just need to really, very lightly clamp this wall. I think we don't even need to use anything heavy, like no boards or anything. The thickness of this entire mold, I think, provides enough structural integrity. Like, sure, we have a little bit of misalignment here we're gonna have to watch out for, but for the most part, the fact that the walls are pretty thick will almost self-align everything together. Well, there's still gonna be mold lines, whichever way you look at it, but well, the idea is to minimize, not get rid of those. We're gonna be using our good old Smoothcast 300. This thing is, I don't know if that's the 2012 make model or production date, but yeah, this thing still works. it's God, I bought this almost a year and a half ago. It still freaking works. Like, these chemicals, the shelf life in these, I'm pretty sure this is past shelf life, but I tested it just a few days ago. Shit still works. Albeit, I kind of wish they made a better, I don't know, nozzle or some sort of an opening here, because this thing, if you don't use it for a while, the plastic quite literally fuses to the lid. All right, so this is a 10-to-1 ratio. So let's see if we can wiggle this. Okay. .1, so we need 2.7 of the B solution. matter of fact, before I do that, let me go ahead and put on some covers. Get the good old ancient bed sheets to protect my pants from, well, there he goes, from spillage. All right, 2.7 it was, right? Man, I kind of wish, 2.8, that should be good. I kind of wish I had a much faster responding scale. I know the whole idea is that it has to wait for all the liquids to settle down to reach equilibrium, and only then it kind of averages all of the values. Okay, so where are my mixing sticks? I don't know where my other jar of mixing sticks went. Somebody's been snooping around my shop. Okay, here we go. We don't want spillage. We want to minimize spilling. By the way, these little cups are shot glasses from Nufrils. So, it's nice little plastic containers. I'd say for $1.50. For $1.50, they make for a nice mixing medium. Okay. This is the 15-minute stuff. Usually it is supposed to start getting hot after first minute, 2 minutes. I'm not feeling it getting hot. And I don't remember the liquid coming out in this milky color. That is quite peculiar. I'm not entirely sure if this is still active stuff. Huh. Yeah, because this stuff used to be clear. I figured maybe it got a little cloudy when I shook it in the beginning of the video. Slammed it on the table. But, You see, the reason why this stuff comes in a jug like that, with the seal and everything, is because it is notorious for taking in moisture. So that's why you have to seal it really well after every use. Now, this makes me wonder, maybe I didn't seal it right, and a bunch of air got into it and moisture, and it sucked up all the moisture and basically neutralized the solution. You know what? Let's do a sacrificial run. Let's leave this here, and let's see if it reacts. Let's see if it solidifies. If it does, then milky color or not, it still works. Liquid plastic is liquid plastic. But if it doesn't, then, well, I guess that's the end of that jug. It could also be maybe one of those chemicals that very rapidly degrades after it reaches end of shelf life. I'm still not feeling it get warm, so, maybe. That just might be the case. Let's go ahead and set this aside. So I'm hearing a lot of sloshing, and I'm also hearing some solid noises in there. So I have a feeling that maybe we have missed our window. A few days ago it was fine. Today it's donezo. I think the chemicals might have separated. Yep. That stuff is not going anywhere. No reaction whatsoever. Okay, let's see. And yeah, it could be the broken lid. Although that was broken for quite a long time. Hasn't really been a problem. Let me do another test. Okay, 34.2. kind of requires me to use a scale if I want to do that. 3.4. Okay. Alright. That should have been sufficient enough. Oh yeah. That ain't reacting, fellas. That chemical is donezo. Very quite fascinating. Well, interesting. So, I don't think this is going anywhere. I think this particular plastic is going to be a write-off. Although it is getting more viscous. And I do feel a tiny bit of warmth coming from it. I don't think it's a good idea to rely on that. Sure, maybe the reaction is gonna take longer, but I honestly don't feel like I wanna count on that. Oh, it is getting really viscous. Okay, what about this guy? Sort of. Alright, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna leave these two aside. And we're gonna try to do a test with the 30-minute stuff. Okay, I still have the jug of 30-minute stuff. Here we go. It looks like it actually did start to react. Just albeit very, very slowly. So maybe the reaction is still going to occur. Maybe. Or maybe that's just a piece of plastic from one of the previous pours. Alright, let's try the 30-minute stuff. Oh boy, okay. You see, I've been primarily using the 15-minute stuff, but I haven't even tapped out the entire jug. So, I still have almost a full container of this 30-minute stuff. So, if that doesn't work, or if that's expired too, I kind of wish they sold half a jug. We're gonna do a test as well. We're gonna see if it solidifies. If it does, then we're in luck. The stuff looks clear. That is a great sign. Okay, that's what part A is supposed to look like. Nice and translucent. Yep, nice and translucent. So that kind of makes me think that maybe moisture from the air got into the other one. 25.6. So 2.5. Okay. I have a good feeling about this one. Don't let me down now. Okay. I think that is mixed sufficiently enough. Now we wait. A distinct sign is when it's gonna start getting warm.
20 minutes later.
Well, it ain't getting warm yet. And this stuff, it's very slowly getting more viscous. Very, very slowly. So I believe it might still have some chemical potential. It is not getting warm. Maybe it's not supposed to. It is a 30-minute liquid plastic. Pot life 7 minutes. Cure time approximately 30 minutes. So that means it can maintain inside of a, well, mixing container for 7 minutes without solidifying. So, has it been 7 minutes? I don't know. It ain't getting warm. So, well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave for maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour. We're gonna come back and see what's happening with this stuff.
2 hours later.
Nope. Looks like both of the liquid plastic jugs are inert. Dunzo. No more. That is unfortunate. Quite unfortunate. This one's still kind of getting viscous, but I'm not gonna count on it. Alright, well. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. That's a lot of chemicals to be wasted. But, well, you gotta learn somehow, eh? To be completely fair, I bought these chemicals almost 2 years ago. And I've only used them, aside from the initial learning stage where I was pretty much recasting and testing and experimenting on quite a variety of different models, I've only used it, like once a year for the duration of, like, a month? A couple of months? I mean, not even. Weeks. Couple of weeks. So, had I made more use of them throughout the year, yes, I would have tapped both of these out for sure. So, maybe a gallon kit isn't such a bad idea. I just gotta, well, be a little bit more involved in the hobby. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. These do actually come in a pint kit, so maybe for the frequency of usage in my case, the pint kit might make more sense. So, anyways, lessons learned. Make use of the chemicals. They don't last forever.
Happy New Year! The highly professional and very courteous folks at Sculptor Supply Canada have pulled through and managed to get my order out and delivered before the New Year's Eve. So that means now, on January 1st at 1 in the morning, we're going to finish this. That's going to be the first thing we'll do this year in 2023. Now, am I thrilled about working with the small pint kit volumes? Maybe a little. Now, am I thrilled to finally get this thing done and see how the molds have turned out? Yeah. Am I salty that I have let almost, 4.5 kilograms of liquid plastic product expire on me? Maybe. Oh man, this thing is almost full. God damn it. Whatever, man. Some lessons have to be learned the hard way, or the expensive way. Needless to say, this crap never materialized into anything useful, so I think I'm gonna bag this and toss it in my waste bin. I believe I might want to go over this mold with some mold release again, considering that it's been quite a few days. Now then, the liquid plastic is still going to be Smoothcast 300. This stuff has pot life 3 minutes, cure time 10 minutes. Okay, and of course, the 305 is a little bit longer, pot life 7 minutes, cure time 30. So we're going to try to use this one up for larger molds, maybe something that needs to be agitated for a little bit, for a little while longer, get all the bubbles evacuated. Or maybe we'll do some experiments. These guys offer a lot of really cool options. So, as we can see, the mix ratio is 1:1 by volume, but we're working with weight. So it's going to be 100 to 90, so that's 10 to 9, basically. I absolutely was not paying attention to the fact that my container wasn't big enough to fit both A and B solutions, so make sure you pay attention to that first. Alright, we just need 15 more. Roughly around, there we go. Alright, this stuff is starting to get warm. That's what I'd like to see. Or feel. Alright, we only got 3 minutes of work time. So, let's go ahead and see what we can do here. Alright, so clearly we got way more than we needed. But for something like this, we could adjust. This is also the place where usually it's a good idea to have some extra molds that you aren't planning on recasting, but you never know. So the fact that there's this much extra stuff is going to be making demolding this thing kind of a pain in the butt. So we're going to try to scoop some up. We still got a little bit of it, but again, this is, oh yeah, look at that. It's already churning white. So I'm gonna scoop up just the bulk of it. This is not the industry approved way, but you know what it is. We're making our own industry here. I imagine that if you're into crafts and whatnot, playing around, maybe moving the stuff around while it is solidifying, could produce some interesting, maybe melted plastic effects. Maybe you can then paint it some sort of a metallic color, and now you've got a blob of melted metal. So, you know, there's stuff to learn and discover, even if we miscalculate and use too much. So we used somewhere around 29 grams of part A, so of course that means once you mix in part B, you're almost doubling that amount. So considering that it looks like we tossed maybe half of what we've mixed, this means that we probably need like tops maybe 15, maybe even less. 15 grams, 10 grams of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, this stuff really doesn't take a lot of plastic whatsoever. Oh, god damn, this stuff is almost hard as a rock already. It's still warm, and it's kind of malleable, so, you know, 10 minutes cure time, there's no rush. As a matter of fact, I do remember with, even with larger molds, larger sprues for, I don't know, piranhas or some larger models, I was actually using quite a lot less liquid plastic, even for the larger ones. I haven't done this in a while, so you know what, I totally forgot what kind of scales I'm working in, what kind of amounts I am used to pouring, so you know, it's a bit of a reminder to myself. This stuff really doesn't take a lot of plastic. So you can kind of already tell the exact reason why I started scooping up all this extra plastic from solidifying at the top. This would have been just a giant brick. I would have had to somehow pry it open or cut it off from the side. It would have just been a nightmare. The pool is good for giving yourself plenty of reserve plastic to let it seep into all the crevices. You kind of squeeze in the mold, let all the bubbles rise up, and then you release it, and then the cavities where the bubbles used to be basically suck in the fresh liquid plastic. And if I'm working with, let's say, the Smoothcast 305, which gives me 7 minutes of work time, you can probably get most of the bubbles out of the mold by hand. I'm just impatient, and clearly I'm paying for it. I am actually eyeing a possibility of recasting a Storm Surge. It's $300 though. I think the Riptide was 120, 150 bucks Canadian. Storm Surge would be, yeah, quite a bit more expensive. But damn, is it a sweet model. We're gonna see how this goes. If we can actually manage to get a reasonable enough result with a like multi-layer recast where all of the sprues are just in one single mold and just recast it all at once, that is gonna be a huge win. Because I've got like piles and boxes of some molds, some failures, some experiments. A lot of the stuff is for larger models like the Dunecrawler, the Adeptus Mechanicus Dunecrawler, and that one comes in 3 sprues, I think it's 3. So if I lose one of the molds, well, okay, there goes my ability to recast that one if I ever need to. Plus, it's taken up so much damn space, and just the idea of being able to keep it all together, all in one place, that would just be fantastic, organization-wise. All right, I think this bastard's ready. It hasn't been 10 minutes. It's been maybe 5. But this stuff is pretty solid by now, and it's not even warm anymore, so just marginally. All right, it's only been 5 minutes. Let's see what happens when we demold it now. Because I'm sure that you don't want to be risking your own molds and doing these sort of rushed experiments. Ooh-wee. I'm gonna tell you, that's looking promising. Huh. Okay. I can see that there's a bit of a... There's a bubble right here. There's a bubble right here. There's a bubble right there. Right there. Oh, the top piece peels off easy enough. This plastic is still pretty malleable, so that's what happens when you pull it out before waiting for 10 minutes to end. So if you're gonna pull out the main pieces now, you're gonna get with some deformed, limpy drones. Well, I would say that's actually not bad. Aside from maybe a couple of sketchy spots, that's looking pretty good. Then, of course, because we didn't clamp the mold this way in the middle, we have a little bit of this film, but this stuff is fairly flaky. Like, you can remove it quite easily. As a matter of fact, it's going to be easier to remove it once it solidifies. You know, the full 10 minutes passes. All right, here's our tofu man. Man, that's actually, that looks not too horrendous. Yeah, I mean, there's actually plenty of detail that got preserved. Of course, we got a bit of a whoopsie right over here. think that might be a bit of a pool of liquid plastic there. I think this guy might have ended up on the bad side of Italian mafia because his kneecaps have been removed. But, you know, it's not a perfect process, and I did rush it, and for a rushed job, I would say this is expected. So, yeah. We did not add any extra air vents. We simply relied on the stock sprue to route all the liquid plastic for us, and it does look like it ended up seeping into most of the important places. As you can see with this guy, the little ball joint at the end is missing. Did not get cast. Oh, there's the base. This is where the ball joint would have entered. The gun's a little crooked. Again, oh, it's still malleable. Oh, damn. Interesting. I mean, this stuff will be hard as a rock by tomorrow, so yeah. If you can get it clamped or fixed up, maybe put it between some book pages, it'll be pretty straight. Or I could just not be an idiot and wait the full 10 minutes for the thing to cure. But hey, now you know what happens when you pull it out too early. I can waste my plastic being impatient so that you don't have to. Oof. Oh boy. That's a interesting looking one. Alright, let's get this one out first. As a matter of fact, here's the ball joint. Oh, this one came out okay, more or less, relatively speaking. Ugh. Good golly. Daddy, where do I point my pew-pew? It's okay, son. You'll be the front lines. Yeesh. Damn. Oh yeah, this guy's pretty much a write-off. This is technically not the first time I have attempted to make this style of mold. I did try this once more with another pack of sniper drones, but at that point I had actually popped all the models out of their sprues and I tried to make something, well, custom made. So again, it technically worked, and it worked almost as well as it did now. But of course, we don't really know how well this is because I rushed this whole demolding process. We still have a base to pop out. Uh-oh. Oh, that's not good. That is a part of the base. No, I rushed it again. Oh, ah, damn it. Okay. Well, that was the base. It is broken in shambles. I might have to open up this slit a little bit more. Try to give myself as much wiggle room as possible. I mean, it definitely captured the texture, that's for sure. These are also not the best pliers to be pulling stuff with. Okay, could we please minimize the dum-dum in the year of 2023? Oh god. I don't know if this is the most appropriate way of getting the bases out. Okay, so that was the mess that you get if you try to rush. Now, whether or not this is also the mess because of the type of mold we made, well, that will probably require another experiment. So, why don't we try this again? This time we are going to wait the full 10 minutes and see how that comes out. I'm also gonna see if perhaps one of these shot glasses is enough to mix the proper amount of liquid plastic. Because I vaguely remember these little plastic shot glasses being more than enough. We're also going to make sure that we don't spend too much time lollygagging and messing with the wrong container size. Okay, note to self in the future. Container size-wise, better have it not needed than needed and not have it. Get yourself more than enough space, because this is going to be mighty tough to mix, which means I'm going to have to go slow, which means I'm going to be wasting time. And I know for a fact that the dollar store sells these cups for... sells these mouthwash cups, which are actually almost 1.5 times as big as this. Okay, I can't quite tell if the mixture is clean enough. Again, the reason why is because I didn't pick a large enough container. I also totally forgot to clamp, so this attempt is quickly starting to look like even worse shit show than the last one. What is wrong with me? Why can't I just be normal? Alright, here we go. Breathe, motherfucker, come on. Breathe it out. Breathe out all the bubbles. You too. Okay, so it's already turning milky white, which means this is as much squeezing as we can actually manage. You can also see that the mold isn't exactly perfectly lined up on this edge, which means that the seam on the model might actually be a lot more prominent on these parts. This is actually where a two-part mold, which is the mold that you create in 2 separate stages, allows you to create registration keys, which allow you to perfectly synchronize the 2 mold halves, so you don't deal with this sort of stuff. Alrighty, so it's actually been about 12, almost 15 minutes at this point, so I think we have waited a lot longer than, well, the documentation prescribes us to. So let's take a look at what we got. This time, hopefully, I can keep everything intact. You know, I can definitely feel that it's still a little bit flexible. My professional hobbyist opinion would be that maybe I should give it a bit more time. But the documentation does say 10 minutes of cure time. So let's see what it looks like after, well, technically over 10 minutes. I can feel that the plastic is still warm. So either there is still a chemical reaction taking place, or this is just the heat still dissipating, and it's the heat that's making the plastic still be malleable. Maybe it's just supposed to cool down and it's going to be fully cured. I mean, technically that's exactly what's supposed to happen. Warmth tends to any sort of heat tends to make plastic soft. Okay, this is definitely not the good way to do it. All right, here we go. So, we did bend it in the process, unfortunately, but at the same time, we bent it because it's still malleable, because it is still warm. So we technically did everything by the spec. We had 3 minutes of pot life, and we had 10 minutes of curing time. It has, as I mentioned before, it was over 10 minutes. However, the liquid plastic is still warm. So maybe I can take a peek at it, which looks promising, but I'm not gonna pull it out until it cools down. All right. I am pretty sure, however, that if I give it enough time to cool down, I would be able to pull the base out, probably even with pliers, without damaging it. Because at that point, it would have been cool enough and solid enough to be a pretty sturdy piece of plastic. I mean, I can feel it getting stronger the longer it's cooling down outside. Oh yeah, this is definitely getting a lot more difficult to deform. So yeah, here's something that isn't in the manual. At least I don't think it is. Don't just wait for the 10 minutes of the cure time. Also give your mold enough time to cool down. That mold is going to suck up a lot of heat from that exothermic reaction of the two chemicals bonding together, reacting to each other. So that heat is simply going to make your liquid plastic malleable, as it does with any plastic. All right, it seems like it's cool enough. It has been at least, I'd say, 20 minutes. Actually, yeah, it's been about 20, 25. Okay, let's give this a try, shall we? How much plastic did we use? Because even this seems too much. I think we did 20. I know that part B, after calculation, was about 20. So technically in total, we did 40 grams of liquid plastic. Judging by the giant patty of plastic we have at the top here, I'd say we can even half the amount. So go 10 of part A and 9 of part B. Of course, again, one might argue that, what if I don't have enough? Better have it not needed than need and not have it. At the same time, what's worse? Having a little bit of extra plastic at the top, or not having enough plastic and getting your parts basically ruined, so you throw out all of the plastic? Oh, wow. As you can see, the little ball joint at the end didn't get snapped off with this one. Whether or not it will remain here while I snip off all this extra stuff remains to be seen, but the little antenna here is intact. That's pretty good. This antenna here is intact. I mean, that's pretty much one of the most common things to snap off with these fine cast units. This right here is the backpack. Yeah, there is a ginormous bubble right in the middle of that, so this didn't really cast very well either. Oh, there's a giant bubble right there. Okay, so to be fair, the top of it looks okay, and this part is only underneath. It's going to be obscured by the gun, more or less, so well, we're not going to be looking at it too often, so I guess this could technically work out. It's not great, but it's better. It's definitely better than the last one. You know, I would probably say that having the base on this side is not worth it. I'd probably want to make the base as a separate sprue. Well, the gun and the antenna looks pretty gosh darn good. Not bad. It's a little crooked, but I think that's because the fine cast piece was crooked. So I suppose if you can straighten up the original, the fine cast piece, maybe with a heat gun or some sort of a source of heat, then your recast model is going to look good as well. As a matter of fact, funny thing is, I think by this time, with all this pulling and prodding, the fine cast pieces would have snapped off, especially these little antennas. Again, we have some bubbles here. It's not horrendous. You can paint over this stuff. Again, I would say this is pretty common recast, hobby recast quality. What's really weird is that I don't remember getting these bubbles with the first rendition, and you all saw how messed up the first rendition was. Okay, it doesn't seem like there's anything else of value. Okay. This one came out quite well. Well, there's a big problem area. This antenna did not cast at all. And I kind of expect this might happen because there is a very tricky cavity in here during the cutting stage. I didn't quite cut the original part very well. So there's a pocket. Which one was it? I think it was... I think it was like this. Yeah, so it's that one, that antenna, that antenna right there. That one is gonna be a troublesome. And because of the way we made this mold, it's gonna be difficult to add additional channels to it. Again, I could have added some additional channels with a hot glue gun, additional vents before making the mold. So, you know, live and learn. Okay, now, here's the deal. This was the second attempt. It was still kind of hectic. I forgot to set up the clamps. Mixing still didn't go quite as well. As a matter of fact, I did find these cups right here. This is something that I found in the dollar store. These are basically your average bathroom rinsing cups. You use these with mouthwash. They're a lot larger than shot glasses, for sure. So that's probably why you're not going to find these in your, let's say, kitchen section. So yeah, look for these little rinsing cups. I think this is gonna make it much easier to mix our liquid plastic, and we don't have to be all hectic about overflowing and try to carefully mix it. There's also no ridges at the bottom, so you're not gonna end up risking splashing yourself with liquid plastic. So why don't we try this one more time? We're still gonna use the Smoothcast 300, but I'm going to take care of all the prerequisites first. So that means first, mold release. Second, clamps. Okay, this time around, we're gonna go for an even smaller dosage. So we went 20 and 20 last time, so we're gonna see about doing maybe 15, maybe 10. I want to go 15, just give it a little bit of extra, just in case. You never know. Just about 13. Okay. Set up nice, but quick. Don't spend too much time on it. We need to get it into the mold as fast as possible so it has more time to flow before it solidifies. Okay. Alright, that should be good. Cool. Let's see. Don't be fidgety. You got more than enough plastic to do this experiment a few times. Okay. There we go, right in there. Oh yes. So we're pulling the molds apart now. Try to get it right into the core of it. Right in the center. Right from the get-go. Okay. Cool. We're out. Perfect. So. I think I'm going to squeeze a little bit of this. Should I really even bother with this, to be honest? How is that going to help us? Maybe we should focus more on getting the bubbles out. Pour it in like this. Nice. Okay. You know, as a matter of fact, I think maybe this is where the vacuum chamber can come in. The vacuum chamber will definitely get all the bubbles out, so maybe that should be one of my experiments. You know what? This time, just for good measure, I think I'm gonna squeeze the center a little bit, perhaps. Just a touch. Okay, very lightly. I don't have any plates. I'm not exerting too much pressure. I just, oh, well, okay. I'm exerting so little pressure that the clamp just falls apart. So, just a teeny tiny bit. I'm not squeezing it. I'm just trying to make sure that I minimize the amount of film. Maybe get the two halves a little bit closer to each other. Alright, I think we've done everything that we could have done to make this process as smooth and seamless as possible. We didn't waste a lot of time on setup, we didn't fidget, we got everything mixed real quick, we poured it in the middle of the mold, so we tried to pry it open, poured everything in the middle, we squeezed it, we gave it a little bit of pressure. Let's see if this works. You know, for what it's worth, one might wonder if the amount of extra work and hassle that this type of mold that attempts to allow you to recast the entire unit all in one go, whether or not it's worth the extra time and hassle and frustration of trying to pull these pieces out because of the style of mold it is. I mean, I gotta admit, the classical two-part mold, the cut mold, is a lot simpler to work with, just because you can very easily pull apart the two halves and then that's it, you're done. You can pull whatever, you can pull all the parts out with relative ease. On the other hand, I did kind of shoot myself in the foot by placing the base mold sideways, so I think that had contributed to the awkwardness of this particular mold. So, you know, maybe you can take that away from this little experiment. Don't make the mold work against you. Orient your parts in a way that makes sense. That's going to make it easy to demold it later. Okay, it feels a little bit warm. Maybe a bucket of some icy water or ice packs could help me speed this process up a little bit. I mean, again, I'm sure you're not in a hurry to get this done, but I've got cameras everywhere. Each hour on one of these cameras is about 20 gigabytes of space. So, phone, 3 cameras, field recorder. God, it's gonna be like a quarter of a terabyte hard drive just for one of these episodes. Alright, so, it's a little warm. It's pretty solid, but it is a little warm. I think I'm going to leave the base for last. Yeah, okay. I know that I can use the longer lasting stuff. I know I can use the 30-minute curing plastic, but I really like this 10-minute stuff just because it allows me to very rapidly iterate and very rapidly experiment, try to figure out all the wrong ways to do it before I stumble upon that one right way. The tofu man. Still missing the kneecap. What is the problem with that? Well, that's looking a heck of a lot better than the last one. Hell yeah. Nah, I don't like that. I don't like how easily that bends. Let's keep it here for a little while. I do believe I got the ratio right. It was about 15 grams of part A, so about 14-ish. Well, it was actually 14 grams of part A, 13 grams of part B, so yeah, I mean, look at that. That's very little plastic wasted. I mean, we still have a little bit of extra, but that's good. This means that most of the plastic seeped inside, hopefully. So once you know how much of, let's say, part A you need, perhaps it's a good idea to maybe write down how much of part A is needed for this one. $14 grams of part A. Part B would be relative to part A, so just multiply that by 1.9 and we're good to go. I am, however, not convinced that this marker is going to be sticking to the mold for a very long time. I think it might seep into the mold and kind of color the individual molecules, but so maybe something relatively permanent can be expected from this. The annoying part about shooting these little experimentation videos is I don't want to stop the multiple recording devices, the multiple cameras, because synchronizing all of them is going to be a pain in the butt if I got 5-6 stops and pauses because I do multiple pours and I stop the camera every time. God, it's just easier if it's just one continuous take. It's just easier. But it does cost extra hard drive space, so there's that. Alright, I think we can start pulling these guys out. You know, come to think of it, if there's some sort of a divider between each and every one of these sprues, it might make it a heck of a lot easier to pull the individual pieces out. And yeah, you can see that's not really sticking very well. So yeah, that might be something to consider for the future. This style of mold, minus the awkward sideways base, this could work. This could still work. We could make it possible to recast an entire unit all in one go. We can just take this, we can learn from it, and we can figure, okay, don't put parallel pieces, have everything flow in the same direction, and separators. Place separators between each sprue. Have it be one single mold, but have separators. Woo! Hot damn. The thing came out almost, yeah, it actually came out as a whole. Nice. Okay, so it's a little bit warm, so it's got a bit of movement. We're gonna let this cure. It looks like the backpack... No, the backpack's fucked up. I got excited there for a second. The backpack's still messed up. Okay, well, the rest of it, however, you know, the ball joint is right there. The base, Tofu Man seems all right. You know, save for the missing, what is it, the foot this time, actually. Cool, okay. What else we got? Alright, the drone looks good. The antennas look good. Nice. The gun looks okay. I don't see anything game-breaking, so to speak. The antenna looks alright. Sure, there's a bit of a bubble there, but I think that's more of a misalignment with the mold. It looks passable, to be honest, in my books. It's a recast piece. I don't expect it to be perfect. The hell is this? Oh, that's the base. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. I am quite pleased with this result. Okay, this antenna could see better days. But the drone itself looks, that looks perfect. Very little defects. Man, that's awesome. Oh, I think we got a casualty. Yeah, that looks a little borky, unfortunately. Okay, well, we'll see if we can deal with this somehow. Oh, this is the antenna that was messed up last time, and that looks perfect. Oh, does it? Hold on. Yeah, that does look perfect. Very, very minor inaccuracies, but that looks quite usable. So that's interesting. This is the one that was messed up last time, and it came from the very edge. This time around, the antenna there was messed up, and well, this one came out perfect. Interesting. So, I mean, if you get two messed up pours, you can combine them to make one good one. Of course, it would be nice if you could perfect the process so that every pour is a usable pour, but, you know, there's always going to be a defect percentage in pretty much everything in life. All right, dare we extract the base? I don't know. Maybe I can extract it without breaking this piece. Use it as a handle of a sort. That might just work. Come on. Yes! Ah, it's a little bit defected. It's a little bit distorted. And this is interesting. It's a different result every time, depending on how you approach it. Okay. So it's a little warped. Again, probably because of the warmth after the chemical reaction. So I'm sure if we, get it on the table nice and flat, I'm sure it'll be okay in a little while. Okay, so this is interesting. Third attempt was a lot better than the first two. Absolutely. So, I mean, how else can we improve this? So, for sure, we're gonna have to have some dividers between each sprue. For sure, we're gonna need to make a mold that doesn't have a parallel piece, so everything flows in one direction, so that we can have these cuts on this side as well. I mean, technically I could take the knife and continue these cuts up. We can sacrifice the base, but well, I don't know. I mean, it works, right? Sure, it's a little messed up, but it technically works. I think we are not done with this. I think another rendition of this mold might be in order. Okay, so let's try one last time. One single last time. Same cure time, same process. We'll see if we're gonna end up with the same result. And while this stuff is curing, we can take a look at the other counterpart, which is the transparent basis. I think I should be able to still reuse this cup. Nothing wrong with it. Come to think of it, I think I will do one modification to the mold. Just a very small one. Hopefully I'm not going to mess it up. I think I'm going to be cutting a little too close to the bottom there. Man. Okay. Okay, I think that's as far as I can comfortably cut it. Alright, looks like I ran out of space on my phone, and it's, Google Pixel. No removable storage, so can't swap out the SD card for a new one and just keep going. Thank you, Google. Alright, we're gonna see if we can repurpose this camera right here as my POV cam. The show must go on. Okay, very gently. This is the last attempt. Hello indeed. Okay. So we went 14-13 last time. That seemed like a pretty good ratio, so let's see if we can repeat that. Okay, 15. 12.8, so almost 13. Okay, let's not do part A twice, shall we? Okay, this is how to do it. Mix it up real well, but don't spend too much time. Okay, that should be good. That should be good. Okay. Nice. Next. Okay, don't worry about ripping or damaging the mold. These silicones have really high tear strength. Okay, I know that we should probably get it in that corner right there. Okay. Alright, it's starting to get a little bit of viscous. It's starting to get a little bit viscous. I would probably say we can go for maybe 15 grams. Having a little bit more than not enough is better. I'll see about doing a separate experiment with a vacuum chamber. See, maybe even with this exact same mold, considering you already know how this mold behaves without one. Or we try to get the liquid plastic in here manually. So I'll have a control group, so to speak. Frame of reference. Okay, now I also think that adding a clamp last time did help with minimizing the amount of film. So I'm going to repeat the process. Okay, very light clamp. It would be better to have some sort of a maybe metal plate or some sort of a wooden plate on both sides and then clamp the plates rather than clamping the silicone, because then the pressure point isn't concentrated on just the centers of the mold and it's distributed more evenly. Sadly, didn't really make one. I could 3D print some. I think that's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be a great distribution, but it will be better than what we have here now. Now that this is sitting here, I'm going to leave it be to solidify, to cure, and we're going to take a look at those bases. So for recasting bases, I found, I found a couple of solutions that technically work. One of them is, of course, resin. The generic AB solution resin that you see in all of those TikTok videos, all of the table furniture, resin cast tabletops, that kind of resin. Even quite literally, the tabletop resin will work, but it takes forever to cure. Takes 24 to 48 hours. I ain't got time for that. I have parts that cure in a matter of 10, tops 15 minutes. I don't want to wait for 2-3 days, maybe even a week for the thing to cure. So the solution was quite simple. UV resin. UV resin usually comes in these sort of black bottles. Of course, they have to be black. They cannot let light through because otherwise the resin is going to start solidifying and reacting inside. This general purpose resin works okay. I find it shrinks a little bit too much. And then we have this, again, these are like third-party Chinese brands. I mean, half of the stuff is written in broken English. But surprisingly enough, this one, which of course comes in a much smaller package, seems to work a little bit better. I think you're gonna have to experiment with this stuff because you might have a different brand available to you from places like Amazon, because that's where I got these guys. So we're gonna try both of these, see how this works. Of course, since we are dealing with UV resin, we're gonna need to have a source of UV light. And this is where these general purpose UV lights, what is this? 405 nanometers. Yeah, you can see it right there. I don't know how much you can really trust these labels. Again, it's made in China. I don't know what they do to pass, emissions and FCC and pass all sorts of inspections. So yeah, this is the lamp that I use to cure resin, and this is really cool. This stuff cures in a matter of like minutes, even less than a minute. Like I can mass produce these bases in the span of time one of those models is curing. So why don't we try this this stuff first. So this is actually the reason why I had recast the bases in this particular fashion. I simply wanted to make sure that they have a pretty flat bottom, but the top is open. We do have a little bit of dust by the looks of it. I mean, that's of course not going to be good, but at the same time, I did kind of leave it out in the open, facing up, while I was waiting for the new chemicals to come in, so I am the only one to blame. So we're gonna deposit. We're Gonna deposit a reasonable amount to the top. Okay. Now, if we're lucky, we're gonna get a perfectly fine size right from the get-go. As I mentioned before, this particular bottle tends to shrink. The resin tends to shrink when curing. So I don't know if there's any parameters I can look up before I purchase the resin, see if the shrink percentage is up to par. I reckon the very first cast is actually going to pick up all the debris and all the dirt that's currently occupying the underside. Now, for the transparent rods, I actually simply just do this. That's right, that's all there is to it. The idea is to keep the pieces as close to the surface as possible, so that when they are being cast, the UV light can very easily get underneath the surface. All right, perfect. Don't forget to put the cap on. We don't want this stuff curing. Okay, I'd say we got a pretty decent pour. And now, the magic. As I said, this stuff cures very fast. I don't need to be holding the light for more than maybe a minute. The rods technically are very close to the surface, but they are submerged in the silicone. So those, well, we'll see. I mean, it hasn't really even been a minute that I've been holding this. So why don't we see what that looks like? All right. Yeah, look at that. Let's see, what do we have here? That is technically, yeah, that's not really cured. So, okay, so now you know. That's actually, to be honest, it's not bad. Aside from, say, this very, very small amount that hasn't really been cured, just on the surface. I'm gonna hold it for like a minute, 2 minutes, and this should be good. But let's see what happens when you pull it out too soon. Because again, you don't want to waste the liquid. You don't want to be wasting resin on your end. It's better that I do these mistakes and you know what not to do. So once again, we have a little bit of uncured resin on the top. Okay, here we go. Just gonna leave this here for a second. Okay. Of course, all of the smudges and all the imperfections that I had, well, smudged all over it would now be baked into the base. So yeah, it's not looking great. As a matter of fact, it looks pretty terrible, but hey, it is a base. I could technically use it. Could use it for one of the rejects. Okay, now, the actual rods, we should be able to pull them out. Oh yeah, okay. So let's take a look at what are the problem areas here. Well, I mean, I would say that's not bad at all. And I totally just ripped out a part of the silicone. Whoops. Okay, so that honestly looks no worse than the base from Games Workshop, to be honest. Man, don't rush things. Don't rush. Alright, here we go. So, a little bit of cleanup with the knife, but to be honest, this looks pretty reasonable to me. Especially for a rush job. I'm gonna place some cuts on these bridges. Okay, so the other three bases were pretty atrocious, I would say. Okay, so as you can see, the other three bases came out pretty atrocious, but I know that I was getting very reasonable results before. So we have pretty big bubbles here that basically broke the bases in half. So why don't we try this again? We're not gonna rush it this time. We're gonna make sure that we go through the entire channel till we deposit the resin through the whole channel. We did damage this one in the process of us rushing, or me rushing technically, but we learned from it and we made cuts into each and every channel. So as you can see, there's no closed loop for the plastic to get caught. As a matter of fact, we might want to do the same thing on this side as well, if we want to be smart about it. There we go, and that one's already messed up. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? And to be fair, this cheap UV resin doesn't actually seem like it did all that bad of a job. Let's see if these results are repeatable though. I think I might want to also take care about leveling next time I create a mold for these bases. I think that might be a good idea because this, I don't think this is too level. I'm gonna hold it for a little bit longer this time. See if we can get a better result. Of course, don't forget, while we are doing these bases, the last pour for the last attempt is getting nice and chilly over there. As a matter of fact, it's been much longer than 10 minutes by this point, so if it's not cool by the time we bust that thing open, well, I think we're gonna have to use ice packs or something. Alright, here we go. Let's see here. You know, that's not looking bad. We still got a few bubbles here and there. We might have to be a little bit more careful with how we pour the resin. I'm not entirely sure why we still have a bit of wetness at the very top. Maybe the resin is so thick that the very top layer of resin is consuming all of the UV lights, and not enough is reaching the very bottom. Nevertheless, I mean, I'd say this is usable enough. Okay, here's base number 1. It's still technically cooling down, so it's a little bit malleable. We got a bubble right there. This base might be okay. Third one's good. Again, it's a little warm because the chemical reaction has just finished running, and it's an exothermic reaction, so it generates a lot of heat. The last one, technically we already know that we messed up the mold, so it's actually not bad. I mean, a little snip right there, and we should be good. You know, a little bit of a trim. I'd say this could be fixed up. I'm thinking that perhaps with a much stronger UV lamp, I could make a 2-part mold for these bases, and you know, just shine the UV light through the mold, let it cure inside, which is actually would be the same sort of process you'd use on 2-part mold with the table resin. It's not bad. Let me try one more time. See if we can do something about that surface finish. I'm also going to try to use the other bottle of resin for this cast. Okay, this is not actually helping. I think the fibers of the napkin are getting caught on silicone. It does make sense. Silicone is very, very prone to collecting dirt. Any sort of dust particles falling on it, it's going to adhere. It's gonna collect it. I mean, you've seen some of those products. They're like keyboard cleaners. It's like this half goop stuff, half sponge. You drop it on your keyboard, you press it in, and you pull it out, and it's just got dirt and gunk and, you know, crumbs and shit. So yeah, silicone tends to grab a lot of dirt, so if you're storing it and you want to have any luck of using it later, store it in like a sandwich bag or some sort of a sealed container. Alright, let's try this one last time. Coming back to the idea of having a stronger UV lamp and making a 2-part mold for these bases, does UV do anything to the silicone? Does it weaken it? Does it destroy it? Interesting. I haven't used UV lights on silicone often enough to know if it does anything to it. I know that you can't glue 2 pieces of silicone with Gorilla Glue. It just dries it up. This was one of my very, very early experiments when I couldn't really splurge on chemicals as much, so every drop mattered. And it was just making a mistake was absolutely devastating, because like it costs like $50 for a new kit, so you know you gotta drop another $50 and try to make the best of it. So when I made the first mold, which was I think it was a set of Tau Pathfinders, I thought it might be a good idea to completely cut the 2 molds in half, and then I realized that was a terrible idea because I couldn't really recast it well. And from that point, I figured I might be able to join the 2 back together by Gorilla Gluing them. God, that was terrible. The whole thing just literally, well, not the whole thing, but the part that had contact with the Gorilla Glue literally dried up. Like, as if I left it out in the sun for 2 years. It's weird stuff, man. Weird stuff. Okay, what do we got? Whoa, we got some weird stuff happening here. What? Excuse me? Hello? You're supposed to be the good kind of resin. Okay, let's see. Maybe it's the way I wiped it. Okay, is that... I think that's kind of liquid. Okay. I want to see what's happened here. I think those are bubbles? Nope. Actually, yeah, those are bubbles. So I guess I didn't notice... Whew, this stuff is hot. I guess I didn't notice I had bubbles forming just underneath because I think I deposited this resin too fast. Okay, and then of course this one's also messed up. It's got a huge bubble. Okay, this isn't because of the choice of resin. At least I think so. Because I know I've made really good looking stuff. Oh, hey, look at that. That is looking pretty gosh darn usable. So maybe we'll wipe, you know, when we use the stick to wipe off the resin, maybe we'll just do it for these rods. Because these are looking hot. These are awesome. All right. Okay, we'll leave that beside. And this guy, yeah, even this guy's okay. We'll just fix up, trim a little bit of the extra over here. Okay, let's see about the bases. Okay, let's take a look at the bases. So, one more time. I didn't put a cap on this, so let's hope it's not too messed up. Okay, here we go. Now, a particular common trend between all of these pours is the fact that the very bottom of the discs, the very bottom of the bases, is consistently uncured. So maybe the thickness of the resin, the thickness of the plastic becomes so thick that the UV lights doesn't reach that particular surface. So I think if we hold it for a little bit longer, we might get a better result. You know, I genuinely think that these videos might be a good demonstration of why you don't want to be doing recasting. Because nobody is going to be spending this much time and this much money on chemicals that produces a mediocre result, you know, mediocre copies, unless you just enjoy the process. This is the thing. Like, I just find the whole hobby of messing around with molds and silicone and just see if I can do it to be fun. As a matter of fact, I have spent more time doing this sort of stuff than I've spent painting or even playing the 40K games. Alright, so this has been a lot longer than I usually... Oh god. Well, this time around only one of them seems to have a cavity here. I don't know where these things are coming from. Maybe it's the resin kind of pulling itself closer, creates the cavity. But this is just really weird. Also, you can see the shape. It's got a bulge in it. It has a bulge. That is not good. Okay. These two look a little bit more promising. It looks like they look more like little saucers than flat bases. Maybe I should drag a little stick across. Oh god. Okay, yeah, so this is not very flat. Not flat at all. So, also, there's like a dip right here. Okay, so these three are failures. We're gonna toss those out. What about the rods? The rods look okay. Yeah, the rods look pretty good. So, very weird results. Okay, let me try... Oh, okay, there's a big honking bubble right in the middle of that. Let me maybe try the other resin again. Just give it an honest test. Definitely should consider making some sort of a level table. It's not such a problem for the other molds, the cut molds, but it is proving to be quite a pain in the butt for these ones. You know, come to think of it, maybe it's maybe the center cavitations were popping up because there was no UV light getting into those crevices, because maybe there's some shadow being cast by the silicone in the middle of the bases. So moving the thing around might solve the problem. But then again, I was doing the same thing with the previous bottle, with the previous pour, and I still got cavitation. Alright, let's take a look. Man, just look at that. Now that I think about it, maybe this was the first bottle I got. Let's Resin, clear UV resin, hard type thin, 120 grams. So stay away from Let's Resin, and I guess it's the big boy, the big jug, UV resin, clear hard, new upgrade. Okay, you know, whatever you say, buddy. Faster, lower viscosity, lower UV wattage required, no shrinking. It says on the bottle, no shrinking. So, these bases look pretty gosh darn decent, I would say. It looks a little foggy, I'm not sure why. Huh. Okay. So yeah, it looks like you're just gonna have to experiment with the different resins available to you to see what is gonna work best and what is gonna shrink the least. Oh yeah. Neat. Okay, so enough with the bases. I mean, the process for this is fairly trivial compared to the sprues, so I'm gonna set this aside. I'm gonna set this aside upside down so it doesn't collect dust. And why don't we now take a look at our final pour, which, might I add, has been sitting and cooling for the past maybe 40 minutes, almost an hour. So if anything, it has been more than enough time. Okay. So, oh yeah, that is some hard plastic. Whew, nice. Okay, let's see here. Whew, that is crunchy. That's actually what I want to see. This is not bending. Oh yeah, these pieces are not going to be bending at all. The dude's foot is actually intact. No shattered kneecaps. I guess Don Carleone was happy. Little tiny bubble there, but yeah, that's fine. Little teeny tiny bubble there as well. Not bad. Okay, this is technically pile number 4. This is looking mighty promising. So, what's the lesson? Don't rush, let the stuff cure. It says 10 minutes. Wait like 30, 40. The backpack! The backpack is intact! Yeah, boy! The backpack is intact! Oh man, that is just beautiful. So again, what did we do? Why did the backpack turn out well? Well, we spent very little time lollygagging and mixing. So I mixed it very quickly and thoroughly because the stuff did cure. I used a ice cream stick to pry open the mold, try to pour it right in the center. Cool. And, you know, we spent a decent amount of time evacuating the bubbles, which kind of makes me think the vacuum chamber might ease up that process. Cool. Okay, let's keep going. Oh man, I'm actually super excited about this final result. This is interesting. Take things slow, and you might reap the rewards. Okay. Drone looks good. Antennae look good. This piece of detail is missing, but I think that's just something we have to solve with additional vents. No way around it. So yeah, we didn't do any additional vents whatsoever. So the fact that we're getting this result, just vanilla by itself, is, I would say, quite impressive. Okay, gun looks good. The antenna looks good. Are we missing anything? No? Okay, that's good. There's a piece of plastic still, piece of sprue here, still left. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, come on, just 2 more. Please tell me they're gonna be good. Oh, come on, you can do it. You can do it. Oh. Okay. Come on. Come on. Okay. Gun looks good. Antenna looks good. It's got a little bit of a bend in it, but again, that's fine cast for you. I'm sure you can spend a little bit of time fixing up the fine cast before you recast it. Okay, let's not damage anything while we're trying to pull it out. Oh, hey, this antenna came out well, but technically we've seen it come out well before, so let's not get too excited. We still have one more to pull out, and then the base. Of course, the base is going to be important. Okay, drone looks good on both sides, mind you. Weapon looks all right. Just teeny tiny bubble right there. Ooh, man, I am excited. I wonder what this is going to look like once we implement improvements. Like, make another mold. Ah, come on. Okay, we have one last antenna. One last flippin' antenna over there. And it's the most problematic piece too. It has always come out partially oh no, hold on. I pulled it out too strongly. Oh, is it still okay? Okay, this one's still good. We didn't break this guy. What about the other one? Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. It's good. All the pieces are here. Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, this is awesome. So, despite how ludicrously messed up this mold is, it actually produced pretty damn good results. Like, I can repeat these results. Just don't take don't rush it. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, we only have the base. We only have the base left to worry about. I mean, it is cool now. It is cool now. It's solid. It's It's not gonna bend. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. It's got a little bit of a bend in it, but just a tiny bit. I think we can maybe work with it. God, this is awesome. Ah, man. Hold on. Okay. Let me try this. Snip it, snip it, snip it. Cool. Okay. I mean, again, for somebody who is okay with spending $100 on a plastic miniature, is probably going to find these results to be unacceptable, which is perfectly fine. I mean, listen, you have your own bar of quality that you deem to be acceptable. For me, to be honest, this is perfectly fine. Oh man, again, I don't play tournaments. I don't play by myself. God, it's been years since Tim and I have had a game. So for me, to be honest, recasting this stuff, maybe just painting, is more than enough, right? So I'm not too worried about, you know, getting kicked out of tournaments, which, yeah, I'm not a tournament type of guy. Cool. Oh man. Whew. This is super cool. Okay, I don't have enough time to assemble this stuff, although the last rendition would be probably the easiest one to assemble. Maybe I'll do like a mini video, who knows. But yeah, like, holy crap, this works. We can definitely improve on the mold. So I got a chance to explore the idea of making a single mold which contains all of the sprues. Now granted, these sprues were fairly small, so maybe with a larger sprue it would be a lot more difficult, but you know, I'll buy the silicone, we'll do the test, we'll see how difficult it is. You know, we learned a few things. We got to put some dividers. We got to put some dividers in between the individual sprues, so don't bulk them together under one single base. Don't place you know, base pieces in a counterintuitive way. You want to ease the job as much as possible, but we would not have known that unless we made this mistake. So cool. Okay, this is the sniper drone. I still have one more video that I need to finish for regular drones, so watch out for that. Anyways, thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate your company. I hope you learned a whole bunch from this experience. I hope you learned what happens when you rush it, what happens when you just recast it and leave it be for way longer than the documentation tells you to. Hope you learned about a whole bunch of new techniques. Maybe you're doing some experimentation on your own end. As usual, promoting this channel doesn't really make a lot of sense. Again, I'm doing recasting. It's much better if I just fly under the radar. But if you want to help out, go check out our website, retroactivegamers.com, where Tim and I play horror games, adventure games, co-op games. It's our gaming channel. To be honest, that is a much more valuable way to help us out, or help me out technically. So yeah, check out retroactivegamers.com. We do have a YouTube channel, but we haven't really scheduled a lot of videos there. We are going to be mirroring a lot of the videos on the channel. I'm working on merchandising, which, by the way, part of all of this, what I'm experimenting with plastics, is going to be very useful once I start doing merchandising for our channel. So things like little miniatures, like vinyl figures, technically not vinyl, but like I can use all of the techniques I learned here to make some sort of mass, you know, heavy air quotes, mass-produced tabletop figures for our merchandise. So none of this stuff is in vain or specifically meant to like recast Warhammer stuff. This is Warhammer's, like, if I'm recasting, if I'm learning something to recast, I might as well recast something that is going to be of benefit instead of just some random crap. So cool. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned a bunch of stuff, and enjoy the beginning of 2023.